Hello, YouTube. Ronan Kazi. Mrs. Ronan Kazi's listening right outside the camera range. It's a little bit of pressure, YouTube. So we're going to talk today. I'm continuing playing with my hardcore characters on Diablo 4. I'm going to talk a little bit about patch notes as well.
Hey.
And there's Mrs. Ronan Kazi with a hey. I'm going to slowly go.
How y'all doing?
That's Mrs. Ronan Kazi asking how everyone's doing. So I'm going to slowly rotate through all the characters in Diablo 4 on the hardcore mode. And I'm going to play probably this stronghold so you can see how each one does. Didn't ever really worry about the stronghold with the Barbarian. It's a great class, even with all the patches. Some of the things I'm going to talk about. You know when someone wants to talk, but they won't talk. So, Mrs. Ronan Kazi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Fabulous today. How are you?
Good. Do you ever get it?
How's your Ronan Kazi family doing out there?
My Mrs. Ronan Kazi asks how the family's doing out there. Hope everything's going good for everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. When I'm talking about the patch 1.13.
1.13.
Thank you. 1.13. A lot of it.
1.14.
Not out yet.
Oh.
A lot of it centered around how the mobs or the monsters are going to play. It looks like they're all getting nerfed a little bit, so it's easier to play. Right now I'm playing on hardcore and I'm on level 1, so it's pretty easy. None of this really affects me, but some of those dungeons on Nightmare, some of those mobs can put you in a stun lock situation where you just can't get out of it.
Please subscribe to the channel, thumbs it up, and please leave a comment.
So Mrs. Ronan Kazi would like, I don't say it like she says it. Maybe I should record her saying it. Please like, subscribe, thumbs up, she said.
And leave a comment.
And leave a comment when it's working.
Good or bad. We would like to hear your opinion.
Thank you. Thank you, you too. And they did some bug fixes, but the main things that are really going to go on in the patch is that the monsters are going to be nerfed a little bit. One of the things that's great about hardcore mode, it's another way to improve or make it a little bit harder to play. There's more at stake because if you die, that's it. And that's Roxy. And so really what happens in that case, even if you're playing on hardcore, it's just it's another level that makes it different. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the same hardness. I imagine, so let's say if you want to go to the highest level, you go hardcore, Nightmare, or whatever it's called, level 4, that's going to be pretty tough. So I'm not ever going to do that. I kind of got to level 4 on my main character, still slowly working on that in the background, but in a sense, the game's finished for me. Now I'm looking at how the different characters do, how the different classes do. That's always important to me, is to have a comparison and correlate each class to one another. And how do you correlate something? Well, you try to reduce as many different variables as possible. You're getting rid of the variability so that you can make a fair comparison across the scope of what you're considering. And so in Diablo 4, one of the biggest things was, what class should I be? I initially made my main a druid because that's what I am in other Blizzard games. Like I'm a druid in World of Warcraft and whatever. I keep looking at Mrs. Ronan Kazi. I don't want to leave her out.
Hi.
And she said hi. And so I played the druid for a while, and it's great because you can be a lot of quote-unquote classes inside the class. But, you know, the other classes have some, I mean, I really like Barbarian, so they have some meat. And, of course, Necromancer seems unkillable, so you can have fun with that. I think once you get the Thief up where you can disappear. That's a fantastic. In general, I normally play the thief, and it's a lot longer. I'm more conservative because I can always kind of get out of trouble. And the class I've had the hardest time with is the mage or sorcerer. Typically, I don't play sorcerer in other games. I might play magic user, but I'm not an out-and-out damage dealing magic user. And that's kind of what sorcerer is. In World of Warcraft, they call it a mage. There's a frost mage and a fire mage, and then what they call a arcane mage. And that's kind of similar. Again, that's what I thought they did nice in the game. If you're a World of Warcraft player, you would really like to pick this up. If I had to give you my overall, is Diablo 4 worth the 60 or 70 bucks? Probably not. It's going to be worth it when, as soon as it's discounted, let's say maybe a $40 game, it's absolutely worth it. If you're a person that likes to play those games, an isometric, top-down, single character game, then you would like it. It has enough story. If you took your time, did all the side quests, it'd be kind of good. The story's good. It's a little short. But for that universe, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Diablo 3. I played that all the way through, and then I played it hardcore to the end. I don't think I was on the nightmare level or whatever, but maybe it was on the level 2, but we did hardcore all the way from 0 to hero. So that's something to consider. Why don't I recommend it? It's just because it's kind of limited, because you're going to get to the end, and then when you get to the end of the story, then you get to grind another 40 levels. Or you have to buy the season, so it ceases being a good value for that. For sure, if you get a chance to play, it's a good game to play. But I don't know, and there's some replayability, so one thing I wouldn't totally discount it is you could play one of those other classes. The problem is, if you're a dedicated, if you're in your Cosmos, you're a Necromancer, or you're a Barbarian, or whatever, and you're not interested in those other classes, then you got to play through to 60, and then you have a grind all the way up. And at one point, I was doing top 5s because I like a show called Dan Leberdard with Stu Gott's show, and I do a lot of they do a lot of top 5s, and so I gave you some top 5s, most grindy games. So it's something to consider. The patch notes are good. They have a bunch of gameplay, and it's kind of nuances. One of the things I wonder about when the game's out this new is that how bad was the beta? I mean, did they give them this feedback in beta? And so someone was talking to me about another thing about software and how a lot of things have software. So, one of my big arguments on this channel is something like ChatGPT is programmed by someone. Here's just a fundamental. It's a great tool. I'm not going to argue with anyone. It's a great tool. If you had it read your writing, for example, there's a thing called Hemingway Editor that I use that I'll throw my writing against it and it will give me feedback about the writing. And ChatGPT does the same thing, right? I don't really need help with my topics, but if I needed a random thought generator, that said, give me, 20 random topics or 100 random topics that I could go through and build a list out of, maybe you could do that. I don't think, for me and how I think, I don't think I need a lot of different topics, but some of the topics I choose are multifaceted. So it's not just my view on it or my take as a however old I am person versus, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Those are all different takes. And so if you look at the demographics of YouTube or who's watching your channel, some of the stuff I do is just directed at 20-year-olds because my 20-year-old self was there. My sons were there. My nieces and nephews were there. So I might not know your experience, but I know the experience of a 20-year-old. And I know that I can see the similarities through all these people. And that's one of the advantages I have and one of the things I'm trying to bring to the channel. now I'm taking on the boss. There's a couple times I blew through like 3 or 4 of the health potions. So there was a point where it got kind of frenetic in here. But I never was really worried. I would just run away, I guess. And sometimes I sit in the fire, and I shouldn't. And, of course, as you know, these are props. I don't have it hooked into anything in the hat and everything. Sometimes when I look at other people's channel, it's the way they do it. And just another quick aside about making, I was watching some shorts, and Mark Cuban was talking to someone, a creator, and they took out a loan for $20,000 to help make their channel. I don't know, you know, I can't get past 350 basically followers, so I don't, that's kind of one thing that's stopping me from investing that kind of money. Right now I use a iPhone 13 mini to record this on the front facing camera, which is a 1080 camera. The volume's better when I move closer, but it's, you know, it is what it is. I thought about if I had other people on cameras, I'd set up other phones, maybe have their phones so they could have their stuff. And so when you're making things, one of the things I'd always share with you is that when you are getting into a new hobby, I think you should delve into it if you really like it. I'm 380 videos in. I think I like doing this. But I haven't got to the point where I think that I could monetize it and it would have a return on investment. There's a point where maybe this would be portrait, it would be landscape instead of portrait. I might have an area in my house that I'd make a studio and had different backgrounds and everything, and that might be something I would go to at the point. But that'd be less gameplay in the background. Maybe which would flip-flop would be me in the foreground and the game in the background. Maybe a 50-50 or some type of overlay of the whatever I'm looking at. Essentially, there's a couple types of videos, right? I'm going to do some topic and I don't show you my face. There's reaction videos where I react to someone else's content. I'm not really a big fan of that. I was reacting to this content. Some of the times I play a game, I react to some of the other players. And what I'm reacting to is when you're in a team, I try to let you know that these things transcend what you're doing right here. I think gaming is a model. It's a way you can model real life. Obviously, we're not fighting demons, but you can build analogies to those kind of things, that tasks that you have to overcome. And it's really easy when you kind of do that. And I was reading a paper, it was from 97. It got quoted like recently, but it was talking about how analogies and comparisons are from the same mental area. And it's a psychology article from 1997. The person that put it into the ether today, like in 2023, didn't read exactly what that was saying. I don't know how they got that out of there. I'm probably not smart enough. It was a very dense article. There's all kinds of mapping, how we map things over and all that kind of stuff. And the long and short of it was, I didn't want to regurgitate that because I didn't see what the author who was reacting to that saw. And that's everyone's biases and what they look at. So I appreciate you helping growing the channel. Please like, subscribe, share, unsubscribe, resubscribe. Comments. Normally when I put a video out, I try to fix the comments right away. And then the commenting's fine. Thanks for helping the channel grow. Ronan Kazi out.